Chapter 6.1, Recording the Trial Balance on a Worksheet. So at this point, we've now recorded the transactions in the journal. We've posted to the ledgers. Now it's time to start getting ready to prepare our financial statements for the end of our fiscal period. What's important to know is before we can prepare them, it's oftentimes very useful to actually create a worksheet. And that's what we're going to start preparing today. If you look on here, we have on the bottom we have a basic worksheet, the blank worksheet set up there. Before we get going, we need to actually prepare the worksheet so we can get it ready to go. The way you prepare it is actually you start by writing the company's name, and in this case, in this example, that's Roseville Rental. We then need to write down what this is. Well, this is a worksheet, and that's what we're preparing. And then lastly, we want to put for the month ended June 30th, in this case, as given in the directions. Now we need to start preparing it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start by writing in the account titles. It was actually a pretty simple method to writing in the account titles. It actually goes numerically from the chart of accounts. So if you take a look over in the account title, we're going to put our 100s first being 110 cash, then petty cash, accounts receivable, and then supplies, according to here. And you can find this number in the chart of accounts, also in the ledgers. Most of the times you're going to have to be referring back to the ledgers, but they do go numerically. And remember, the asset accounts are the ones that are organized by liquidity, or the ability to turn it to cash. After the 100s are in there, we're going to enter our 200s account. In this example, we only have one accounts payable, but you may have more. Then we move to our 300 accounts, which is going to be our owner's equity account, the capital drawing, income summary. Now, income summary is a temporary account. It's probably new to you at this point, probably wondering where does that go. Income summary is in there. It's a temporary account. It's used for closing when we are at the end of the fiscal period and we're preparing for the next one. So that's all you really need to know about that. But do note that income summary up on the top does not have any balance, whether it be a debit or credit balance. Even if an account does not have a balance, you still enter it into the account title when preparing the worksheet. It's extremely important to put it in there, even though if it doesn't have it. Do not skip it. Put it in regardless. And that's why we're putting the account titles in first, and then we'll go back and put the amounts in the trial balance. Continuing on to our revenue accounts, or our 400s. In this case, we only have one. You may have more. Then we move into our expense accounts, which are 500s. Once again, you're noticing like insurance expense doesn't have an account balance. You still enter it in the account title, even if it doesn't have an account balance. Give you a hint. We'll give it a balance starting in 6.2. Miscellaneous expense, supplies expense, the same thing, no balance, but we still enter it. Utilities expense is there. And we listed all the account titles. Now most of the work's done, so we're going to go back to the ledger. In this case, the ledger is kind of given to us up on the top with the account balances. But if they don't give you the account balances, you would actually go back and look at the ledgers, the various ledgers for them, and that's where you would put the balance in. And we're just going to transfer that in here. If you notice over here, cash has a debit balance of $12,430. So in our trial balance, debit for $12,430. Petty cash has an account balance of a debit $150, and we're just transferring in there, and we continue that on with all of our asset accounts. Remember, their normal balance of asset accounts is debit, so all your 100s should have, unless they're contra accounts, which is much later, should have that normal debit balance on there. While we move to our liabilities, you notice that it's $415 credit, so we want to make sure that we put it $415 credit. We'll continue on with our owner's equity. Once again, just transferring it exactly what it is, the debit balance to a debit trial balance, a credit general ledger balance to a credit trial balance. And once again we move to the expenses. Notice I'm skipping over, not putting anything in the income summary because we don't have a balance, but it still needs to be there. Insurance expense, don't have a balance, but still needs to be there. Supplies expense doesn't have a balance, but still needs to be there. So we just leave those blank. Now when we're done with that, the next thing we have to do is we have to prove and rule. So we'll have our single line, which means addition or subtraction. In this case, it's going to be addition. We're going to add our debit column up, and we're going to find that our debit column equals 16,165. And now we sure hope that we did everything right previously and we don't have any errors, but we're now going to add up our credit trial balance column. And through the magic that be, we should have 16165. In this case, we have done. So now what we get to do is we get to rejoice. We get to draw the double line underneath it, and that proves that that has been verified. And that's how you prepare a worksheet.